This is a first. 2. Asking my father what he thinks. He is thrown. He says, that's not the point, but I can tell it's given him something to think about. Maybe he'll rebel too. Day 7. My mother phones. She says, I'm worried about you. Are you okay? I can't remember her having shown any concern before. I become tearful. Mom says, you don't have to come round every Sunday, you know. I'm amazed. She's quite nice, really. It's easy to get into established patterns of relating to other people. We co-construct how we behave with each other. A beginner's mind enables you to do things differently. Even a small change may make a big difference. Be careful, though. Be prepared for people to get upset, angry, or defensive. Think through the likely consequences. If you do decide to do things differently and change your behavior, be consistent. Be prepared to be flexible, too, but don't give in. Your personal rights. You know, of course, that you have legal rights. These are what you are entitled to according to the law. Your consumer rights, for example, legally protect you from being stuck with faulty goods. Personal rights are what you perceive to be the correct, just or appropriate way to be treated. Personal rights are what you believe you are entitled to. And when you stand up for your rights, they can protect you from ill treatment by other people. Your rights are reflected in your values. Your values will inform your rights. For example, if you value truth, you may feel that you have a right to ask or even demand that others be honest with you. If you value confidentiality, for example, you probably feel that it is your right to expect others to be trustworthy and to keep to themselves information you have given them about yourself. Whatever rights you identify as being important to you, ask yourself, do I think these rights extend to other people? For example, if you value forgiveness, if you think others should forgive you for your mistakes, then, hopefully, you think it's important to recognize that other people make mistakes too and that you don't need to hold it against them. Identifying your personal rights can help you to be clear about your values and expectations. What rights do you feel entitled to? To say what I think and feel. To ask for what I want or need. To make my own choices. To make my own decisions. To change my mind. To make mistakes. To be successful. To stick to my values. To determine my priorities. To say I don't know or I don't understand. To ask for information. To expect privacy. To be independent. To withdraw and not be involved. To say what I think and feel. To refuse to help. Not to be responsible for others' behavior, actions, feelings, or problems. To be happy. To expect honesty from others. What rights would you add to this list? Do the rights you choose for yourself apply equally to other people? Be aware that someone else's personal rights will be based on their experiences and expectations, so they may well be different from yours. Values and personal rights are subjective. They are based on your experience and expectations of yourself and others. Only you can stand up for your rights. Other people have a right not to respect your rights. However, when you are more aware of your rights, you'll be more able to set limits and feel entitled to defend yourself from exploitation, attack, and hostility. Once you are aware of and take responsibility for your values, rights, and expectations, you will be clearer about what is and isn't important to you, what you will or will not accept, what your limits are, and how flexible you are prepared to be. That's all well and good, you may think, but I don't have the confidence to tell people what I will and won't accept, what my limits are, and how I want to be treated. The role of self-esteem and confidence. This is completely understandable. Of course, you need confidence to tell other people what you think and how you want to be treated. To say what you do or do not want. Confidence is what you believe you can or can't do. So, in order to deal with difficult people, you need to believe you can deal with them. You've probably noticed that some people find it easy to deal with difficult people. They seem to have no problem in calmly standing up for themselves. They do not let a fear of confrontation silence them. They are prepared to take the consequences of dealing with difficult people. They don't try to prove anything, but neither do they allow themselves to be mistreated. People who are confident in their ability to deal with other people in a constructive way do not try to control what other people think and say. They are open to other people's views even when those views are different from their own. Even if a confident person feels anxious about dealing with difficult people, they don't let fear and anxiety paralyze them. They deal with other people in situations despite their fears or worries. They recognize they have to start somewhere, however apprehensive they are. What they have, and you can have too, is courage, the quality of mind or spirit that enables you to face difficulty despite your fear and concerns. This is where your values, rights, and positive expectations can be helpful. They can give you the courage of your convictions and help you to act in accordance with your values. Confidence and courage come through acting as if you are unafraid, even and especially when you are. So how can you be courageous and see yourself as someone who can manage difficult people and situations? Building courage and confidence. One way to help build your confidence about your ability to deal with difficult people is to remember past successes. Think about occasions when you have been successful in managing difficult people. Maybe you resolved a dispute over a bill or an invoice. Perhaps you once acted as mediator between two other people who had fallen out. Or you successfully negotiated with a colleague about who would take on a particular piece of work. Picture what happened, where you were, what you did, what other people's reactions were. What was it you did that contributed to a successful outcome? Next, think of a situation where you want to ask someone to do or not do something, or something you want to do or not do that won't require a huge amount of courage and confidence. Start small. Starting small means starting by saying something to someone that induces less fear and requires a small amount of courage to accomplish. Learning to have confidence takes practice. You need to see confidence as a process, not an achievement to be completed. Having confidence isn't a finish line you cross once, and the process won't always move forward. Take a deep breath, remember the successes you've already had, and resolve to keep going. Don't be afraid of your fears. They're not there to scare you. They're there to let you know that something is worth it. Having read this chapter, you've probably realized that to deal with difficult people constructively and effectively depends, to a large extent, on having the right frame of mind. Rather than see yourself as a victim of other people's difficult behavior, if you take responsibility for your expectations and responses, then, like anything else that belongs to you, those expectations and responses are yours to manage, to use as you want. Chapter 3. Communicating with difficult people. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. Winston Churchill. Having thought about how you currently respond to other people, your expectations and beliefs about the way others should behave towards you, the next step in dealing with difficult people is to improve your communication skills, to know what to say and what not to say. Knowing the right thing to say isn't always easy, particularly in difficult, awkward, or heated situations. But communication is more than what you say. Communication is a two-way process. It involves talking and listening. Knowing the right thing to say is a lot easier if you first know how to listen. If you listen well, then you are more likely to respond in a constructive, effective way. Often, when people talk with each other, they don't really listen. They make assumptions and misinterpret each other, especially if the issue is contentious or complicated. Expectations and assumptions can distort what you think the other person has said. Sometimes, you assume you know what they're going to say next, or you think you won't get your chance to say what you want to, so you interrupt and jump in with your response. Other times, you may not understand what the other person is talking about. You're confused. Instead of listening closely, you're a few seconds behind, trying to make sense of what the other person has said. And of course, there are times when it's tempting to tune out, particularly if the other person is moaning and whinging or is openly hostile and aggressive. Tuning out rarely stops them, though. If anything,